Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Longtime Trump advisor Roger Stone was arrested on Friday by federal agents and charged with 7 felonies. None of the charges had anything to do with Russian collusion or election meddling, but you'd never know that from the penalties he faces. If convicted, Stone could die in prison. Nobody in Washington seems to find that punishment excessive. Many have cheered it. Officially, Stone was charged with lying, something most of our political elite engage in every day. But his real crime was flamboyance. Stone has spent the last 40 years giving the finger to the people in charge. In the end, they got him. They always do. Stone's arrest is already fading from the headlines, replaced by the latest political crisis of the moment or some new skirmish in the ongoing culture wars. Soon we'll forget it ever happened. But before we do, it is worth taking just a moment to consider a few basic questions about it, if only because nobody else is going to. First, why did the Justice Department stage what was, in effect, a military assault on Roger Stone's house? Stone himself asked that question on ABC over the weekend. Watch.
The idea that a 29-member SWAT team in full tactical gear with assault weapons would surround my house, that I would open the door looking down the barrel of assault weapons, that I would be frog-marched out front, barefooted, and handcuffed when they simply could have
Roger, let me just
contacted me.
Let me
I
stop
think people need to know about
but as you know, it's pretty standard for that to happen.
That's pretty standard, as you know. But is it pretty standard to send dozens of federal agents with rifles to arrest an unarmed 66-year-old man who's been charged with a nonviolent crime? Well, no, it is not standard. It is shocking, and any honest person who pays attention could tell you that. Roger Stone, who was there, says there were 29 agents on the scene, along with 17 vehicles, 2 of them armored, and a helicopter overhead. If that's an accurate accounting, it means the feds sent more armed men to Roger Stone's house in Fort Lauderdale than they did to Osama bin Laden's compound in Pakistan, just for some perspective on this. So what was the justification for doing that? Prosecutors knew perfectly well that Stone was not a flight risk. He's broke. He doesn't even have a valid passport. They could simply have called his lawyer and told him to surrender. That's the actual standard in cases like this. But they didn't do that. Instead, they went in with guns drawn. So who decided to do that? And how much did it cost taxpayers? We spent the last 2 days trying to answer those questions. And it tells you a lot about contemporary America that we still have no idea. The Justice Department wouldn't answer us. The White House, which supposedly oversees the Justice Department, didn't even respond. Maybe they don't know the answer to those questions. Possible they don't control Robert Mueller. Nobody controls Robert Mueller. Mueller can send armed men to your home to roust you from bed at gunpoint just because he feels like it, and there's nothing you or anyone else can do about it. Mueller has an unlimited budget and no timetable. He doesn't have to answer questions. He can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, to whomever he wants. He cannot be fired. Mueller is the single most powerful person in America, and yet nobody voted for him. He is a living rebuke to the principles of our democratic system. At the same time, our leaders tell us that we need Robert Mueller, an all-powerful, unelected prosecutor accountable to no one, to protect us from threats to, brace yourself here, democracy. Nobody in Washington catches the irony in any of this. Mueller himself is a threat to our democracy, the most powerful man elected by nobody. Our media don't ask questions about any of this or even acknowledge that it is a question.